Hey guys, techmadeezy, and thank you so much for clicking on our video today. Well guys, we've got another power station review for you. A detailed power station review like you know us to do. And guess what? We've even done our refrigerator test that we're known for. How long will this power a refrigerator? Well, make sure you check that out in this video. But guys, this is a 2,000 watt power station with plenty of battery in it. It is a lithium iron phosphate battery system too, which means the batteries last for a long time. It's got a wonderful clear display we're going to show you in a little bit. It's got wireless charging. It's got a flat top, and we are excited to bring this to you. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Hi, this is Al from techmadeezy with a really quick message. The video you're about to watch is sponsored. We received this product from the vendor. But keep in mind, we will be very honest with you as we review the product. That is very important to us. If you like our video, I sure hope you give us a thumbs up. I hope you share our video. And last, I really hope you subscribe and become a part of the family. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get this unboxed. And there it goes. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek. And there you go. A nice unit. Definitely has a cool design, I must say. And what do you get? Well, let's take a look here. It looks like you get a thank you card right here. You get a warranty card. And you get a user manual. And you get a USB Type-C to a USB Type-C cable. You get a solar cable. That's XT60 to MC4. Not bad. Looks like a nice size. And you get your AC charging cable as well. And that is what you get. All right, we are going to go ahead and start off going over some basics. And we're also just going to take a quick look. Right after that, we're going to go over some detailed specs with you. Obviously, we've got testing coming up in the video. But here it is, right? I mean, you know, look in the front here. You've got all of your outputs and your inputs, by the way. So you've got your AC outlets up here. You know, they're covered, which is pretty cool. So you do have covered outlets, all right? You've got your DC here, right, with your barrel plugs as well, again covered. That helps out. Here's how you charge the unit, right? So you've got an XT60 here, and you've got your built-in power brick, right? So you don't have to carry that. I like that. The display, let's turn that on for a minute so you can see what that looks like. You got to hold the button down for about 3 seconds just so you'll know. It'll turn on, and this thing will give you your battery percentage. It will give you your input wattage, your output wattage. So it's a nice display. You've got USB, and as you can see, you've got plenty of them, which is nice. So that is the front. And let's take a look at the top. Mower Joe is on the top, by the way. And you do get a flat top, right? You get handles, and you get a wireless charger. Again, we'll go over this stuff in the specs, but Mower Joe is enjoying being on top. Now, when we look at the handles, by the way, let's go ahead and take a close look. The one thing that you're going to notice is you actually get some rubber in here. You see that rubber? I'll zoom in a little more. So you do get a little bit of rubber grip if you have to carry this around. It is a hard rubber, just so you'll know. All right, so let's zoom out more. But you do get 2 nice handles with plenty of room, I must say, too. So if I go here and I look at the side, you'll see the big gap here, right? So plenty of room, which is nice. Now, the sides, you're going to have your ventilation on both your sides. So that's what you got going on there. If you go to the back, you've actually got a light, all right? And all you got to do is hold that button down. We'll actually test the light, and we'll show you that later on. But pretty simple design. Why don't we go ahead and just look at the bottom and see if it's got that protection. You know, if you actually have to put this maybe on maybe a nice floor or something and you don't want to get it scratched. So let's go ahead and take a look at the bottom. So here's the bottom, and you get pretty beefy rubber pads that actually go up on the sides. So you get two of these on each side. Obviously some room here on the bottom, some specifications and stuff down here if you need that. But look how thick those are. Wow, that's pretty cool. So there's the bottom. Pretty exciting. Now that we took that close look, this is the NEO2000. So it's their top of the line unit. They do make a smaller unit as well. Now this thing sells for $1,500, okay? Not a bad price, honestly, for the watt hour capacity. And we'll go over that in a little bit. So why don't we do that? Let's jump into some specs. So let's cover more basics, okay? So this is a 2,000 watt power station that can support surges up to 3,000, all right? The inverter, we're going to test. It's supposed to be pure sine wave, so we'll test that. Just look out in our testing later on in the video. This is supposed to also have pass-through charging, which means while you're charging this unit, you can actually use it. Believe it or not, there are power stations out there that when you're charging them, you can't use the AC ports or the USB ports, which sucks. So this one actually supports pass-through charging, and we're going to test that, so look out for it. Now, the battery type in this, you're going to love this. This is that lithium iron phosphate battery, okay? And it's also known as LFP. Now, what makes it unique is this is a 2,073 watt-hour battery, so it's a nice size battery, okay? And it has 3,500 life cycles. After that, it goes to 80%. Now, if you're wondering, what is a life cycle? Well, think of your iPhone or your devices, right? If you take this unit and charge it to 100% and then you go down to 0, you just used one life cycle. It's the same thing as your phone, right? Your devices all have cycles, whether it's 500 or 1,000, and then that's what makes your batteries go bad after a while. Well, lithium iron phosphate's amazing because 3,500 cycles, and then it goes to 80%. I just love that. Now, this is also supposed to have a UPS feature, all right? I don't know how fast that is, and I don't know if it's a UPS or it's a EPS, right? But we'll talk about that later on, and we're going to test that. And what that means is you can have devices plugged into this and then have this plugged into your wall. And what it's doing is it's just passing the power through the device. It's not using the battery. And then if you lose power, it then starts to use the battery and it switches over quickly. I don't know how quick, but we're going to check that out. Now, this supports 1,600 watt AC charging. All right, that means that when you plug in the AC cord to your wall at your home, it'll support 1,600 watts. Solar, very interesting here, supports 600 watts of solar. So that's good. And it's 33 volt to 60 volt, 20 amp. Now, let me just say this. If you buy this unit and you want to use your solar panel that you already have, you need to make sure it's over 33 volts. If it's not, it won't work. When you go to plug in a solar panel that's 22 volt into this unit, it won't do anything. All right? You're probably going to have to connect them in series, and then your voltage will go past 33 volts. So just be aware of that. I didn't want you to get, disappointed, but, 33 volt to 60 volt, 20 amp. All right? Let's continue on. So let's talk about how many devices this thing can power, okay? This can power 15 devices at the same time. And you're like, how? Well, Mower Joe is standing on the wireless charger here, so that's one. And then you've got 3 AC outlets. You've got 6 USB ports. And then you've got your car charger and 4 barrel ports. All right? So think about that. That's pretty cool. Now, let's go over some specs. So your AC outlets are 2,000 watt with a 3,000 watt surge, and they're supposed to be pure sine wave. So we're going to test that later in the video. Make sure you look at our testing section. All right. Here's where you charge the unit. So you just plug in the AC cord that it comes with. There's no big power brick, which is phenomenal. It's built right in. And then you've got an XT60 right there, right? And that is used for your solar charging or your car charger, okay? And then you just put this back on top. It keeps it nice and clean. Your car charger will support 120 watts. It's 12 volt, 10 amp, and the barrel ports supposedly support the same, which is a good thing as well. Now, as we go over to USB, what I like about the USB is they actually just put the quick charge on. They didn't bother putting USB 2.0. So these support 18 watts. And then check that out. You've got two USB Type-C 100 watt ports. That is phenomenal. Love that. All right. Now, finishing off with the basics, this is a 54-pound unit or 25 kilogram, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. And you got to register it, I believe. So just make sure you register the unit. Now you do get an LED light on the back of this unit. So I'm going to just do a small demonstration in the room, okay? Let me turn the lights off for a moment. So to demonstrate the light, I'm just going to do it here in the room, okay? But hold the button, it'll turn the light on, and it's pretty high. If you tap it again, it kind of goes into a lower mode. If you tap it again, it just strobes. Sorry about that. If you tap it again, it goes into an SOS. But that's the demo on the light. We are in a dark room now, and I'm going to go ahead and just show you what the light does. It starts off on high, but it actually has a soft setting. Check this out. So the light kind of comes on slow, which is pretty cool. Second setting, low. Third setting, strobe. Fourth setting, SOS. So, not bad. Lights up the room pretty good. Now, I've got a couple of must-have accessories that I'd like to show you, all right? One of them is a light, all right? Now, there are two types of lights. One is just one that plugs into your USB and is flexible and angleable. So I'll put that on in a minute. And then there's a new one that came out that's a small one. And, it's nice. I mean, it stays on when you turn on the USB ports, but very small and simple, and you can put a couple in. So let's start off by demonstrating this light, and then I do have one or two more accessories to show you. So here's the first light, and it's really like just plugs into the USB port, right? So I'm going to plug this in to the USB port, and the USB ports are on now, and this thing is angleable. So as you can see here, if you just tap the corner, it just turns on. And you can angle this any way you want. So that can be convenient for somebody. Now, the next light that I have basically is just a plug-in light. That's all it is. This little guy here, very small, okay? And you just take this, put it in one of the ports. This is actually, I believe it comes in a 4-pack, but as you can see, it's pretty darn bright. And if you wanted to plug another one in, you could, right? So think about how bright you could make that. So those are lights, and I will put them in the description. Let me show you one or two other ones. All right, so we're almost done with accessories. So here's the example. Let's say you want more car charge, and you don't really use these barrel ports. Well, this is a great little adapter that we have that has a covered car charge. So you take this, and you plug it in, and you've just converted that to a car charger. Right? And you could buy one or two of these or 4 of them if you want. We'll put the link in the description. But the next example is, let's say you need more USB Type-Cs. All right? And so we have an adapter that actually will convert the USB Type-A into a USB Type-C. It's this little guy here. So all you do is slide it in. And now you've just converted the USB Type-A to a USB Type-C. But what if you want the opposite? What if you're not using USB Type-Cs and you want to convert them to a USB Type-A? Well, they make an adapter for that. And all you do is plug it in and you now have a USB type A instead of a USB type C. So I'll put these links in the description. All right, let's continue on. Okay, this is something that I include in every one of my power station videos moving forward. It's called Know Before You Buy. And my goal with this is that you don't go out and buy something that is not going to work for you. All right? I don't want you spending the money. I don't want you to have the headache. And I can tell you how this started. I had a friend that bought a power station, and it was a small one. And because it was a power station, I believe she assumed it would power her coffee maker. And so she was extremely disappointed. And after talking with her, I tried to explain it's more about knowledge and understanding. And so that's why I put together Know Before You Buy, because I want you to think about a few things that I'm going to go over in this section. So let me get started with number one. Number one is, what do you want to power? You have to just stop for a minute and say, you know what am I using this for? Is it for a camping trip? Is it for a road trip? Am I buying this in the case of an emergency if my power goes out? Am I taking this to a cabin that we go to every once in a while? Right? So what do you want to power? Refrigerators, TVs, phones, maybe the internet, a laptop, LED lights. So take a moment, write that down. What do you want to power? Number two, do you know how much power your appliances and device require? You probably don't. Most people don't. I learned so much in the last couple of years, and I still don't know everything. So I'm going to be showing you an accessory towards the end of this video that I highly recommend you get, because it's going to help you, determine how much power your laptop uses, your TV uses, your phone uses. But let's stick to this page here. So number two, how much power? So you need to know that, okay? And the other thing is, some of these devices have startup wattage, surge wattage. If you're going to be powering a refrigerator uses wattage, but then it has a compressor that kicks on to make the refrigerator cold, and that can use hundreds of watts, especially older type refrigerators. Let's look at some examples real quick on the bottom. LED lights can use 5, maybe 10 watts. Those are the newer LED lights, right? Laptops can use 100. They could use more. It just depends on how old it is. Is it a gaming laptop, TVs can vary. New TVs use 100 to 200 watts, those thin TVs. But if you have a larger one, it could use 300 watts. If you have an older one, well, those can use like 300-400 watts. And what about a CPAP, right? If you have to sleep overnight and you have to use a CPAP, well, those can vary from 50 to 150 watts, probably more, probably less. Let's take a look at the next section. So here's part 3. How long, right? How long will you need to power the appliances or devices? Now, again, let's just say it's for an emergency, right? Maybe your power goes out once a year for like 8 to 12 hours. Let's use that as an example. All right? But you have to know, or at least have an idea before you make a purchase, because how long really connects with the battery size of the power stations. So let's look at the next slide. So let's put it all together, right? Number one, what do you want to power? What devices or appliances? Have a list of that. Number two, how much power do the appliances and devices require? Now, the tool or accessory I'm going to show you coming up is going to help you do that. And number three, how long will you need to power them, right? Number three, again, pertains to the size of the battery, right? But number one, and number two really pertains to the power of the unit, because each of these power stations have different power ratings. So here's an accessory that I'm going to recommend. And the brand, don't worry about the brand, because sometimes this brand's not available. I'll make sure links are in the description. But this device here, and I'm going to demo it in a moment so you can see it. I'm going to show it to you. It's real simple. But if you're new to it, it's intimidating, right? So this sells for around $25, and you can connect devices and appliances up to 1,875 watts. So just be aware, or 15 amps. Now, again, I don't expect you to know that, but I have to tell you that because if you plug in, let's say, a 3,000 watt like toaster oven, it's not going to work on this. Okay? But let me demo it for you. But what this will do is it will help you understand the wattage that your devices and appliances use. So let's check out the demo. So we're going to do a simple demo, so you know what this device is about. Again, it doesn't cost much, first of all, right? I think it's around $25. And depending on the brand that's available, we'll put a link in the description. But just realize also that you can't plug everything into this. I believe there's like an 1,800 watt limit and a certain amount of amps. Now, I know that's complicated, but if you want to know how many watts your light is using, how many watts your refrigerator is using, how many watts your laptop uses, your phone, this is perfect for it, okay? So this is plugged into my outlet, as you can see on the wall, and now I've got this light plugged in here. So all I need to do now is turn on the light, and let's see how many watts it uses. Now, again, it is on the watt screen, and this does do more than watts, so just be aware, okay? You can actually figure out kilowatts, which is how your electric company bills you, but I don't want to get that complicated. So let me turn the light on. And look at that, we're using 6.3 watts on the LED light. That's really good, right? And again, plug in your laptop, plug in your phone. Again, you'll learn more about the wattage that your appliances use, even your coffee maker. But if this was helpful, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And we're going to continue on with the review. So I hope the information you just saw was helpful. Now let's talk a little bit about estimated run times, right? Because this is a 2,073 watt-hour battery. So let me give you some examples, and I'll pull up a sheet and we'll go over it together, all right? So here's the sheet. And basically, let's start off with a small refrigerator. So let's say you've got one of those college refrigerators, a 75 watt. Well, guess what? You can get an estimated 26 hours on this power station that I'm showing you today. What if you have a full-size refrigerator that uses 200 watts? Now, let me just tell you, most refrigerators, I would say the newer ones, okay, sometimes use nothing, but when the compressor kicks on, they can use hundreds of watts. So I'm just giving you a general example for now. Let's just say your refrigerator used 200 watts. Well, guess what? You can get an estimated 10 hours. But make sure you check out our refrigerator test in the testing, because we're going to actually run this unit, all right, to power our refrigerator and see how many hours or how many days we get. Now, what about home internet? What about, your power's out, but you need your home internet? Well, guess what? You can power the router and the modem, and let's just say they use about 50 watts. You can get an estimated 40 hours using this power station. What about a fan? Let's say your fan uses a 60 watts, right? You can get about 33 hours out of this unit. What about an LED light in your house? LED lights use 5 watts, 10 watts, right? So let's say 10 watts. Well, guess what? You can get an estimated 200 hours with this power station. Now, what about a CPAP? People need those, right? To sleep at night, stuff like that. So if you're using a CPAP, and let's just say it used 100 watts, okay, and you have to find out your wattage, but you can get an estimated 20 hours. So this machine's got the capability of at least getting you through the night. Now, what about a laptop, right? A gaming laptop. Maybe a laptop that uses about 50 watts, right? Gaming laptops probably use about 100, to be honest with you. But if it used about 50 watts, you would get an estimated 40 hours. What about an iPad, a big one, a 12.9 inch? Those have about a 36 watt-hour battery. You can get about 55 charges. What about an iPhone 12? They have about an 11 watt-hour battery. you can get about 180 charges. And lastly, what about a Samsung S21 Ultra? Well, they have almost a 14 watt hour battery. You can get about 155 charges. So one of the things I highly recommend, if you're buying a power station, just make sure it has a pure sine wave inverter, okay? And that's the AC inverter, right? For AC power through your outlets, right? You want to make sure that you've got pure sine wave power, because if you do, then you're going to notice that you're going to have clean power. You're going to have less noise. There are certain types of electronics that will get very noisy if they have like a modified sine wave, but pure sine wave is the way to go. All right, and anything cleaner than pure sine wave is going to be your home AC outlets. All right, but let's test this now with a load and without a load. So let's start off without a load. I'm going to turn this on. You have to hold the button, by the way, for about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. It'll turn on. All right, so the unit's turning on now. That turned on the AC outlets as well. And you could see there that we've got pure sine wave power. All right, now one thing I like to do too is put a load on the AC inverter as well. So I have this ceramic heater. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. You're going to see the wattage go up right over here. So let's turn the heater on low and watch the sine wave as well. There you go, 7, 8, 900. So a little over 1,000 on low and a surge. Okay, and then it'll go back down a little bit. But as you can see here, we still have pure sine wave power coming out of the AC outlets. 800 and something watts. And you know what's happening? It's getting hot in here because I've got this heater on. So there you go. You got a pure sine wave inverter with this power station. Just a noise test real quick. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it sounds while I'm charging it, and then after it's done, we'll test it again. Actually, let me put it nearby. One feature that many people want to get in their power station is a UPS, right? An uninterrupted power supply. Now, some of these power stations are not fast enough to say that they're an actual UPS, because UPSs are extremely quick. Now, this company does state that this is a UPS. I will put the time right there in milliseconds on the screen. That's what they say that they can do, all right? But we're going to go ahead and test this. We're now charging this, right? So it's actually receiving power from the wall. And this light is actually plugged in, and I'll unplug it real quick so you can see. So it's receiving power from the power station. So I'm going to plug it back in. Now that light up there will automatically turn off the power coming from my home. Okay, and what we want to look for is how fast does that switch over. Now, one of the ways we're going to be able to do that is by watching this light. The other way is by watching the screen, because you'll be able to see it switch over. All right, so right now, it basically is, using the power from my house to power this light, because it's passing through. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a hold of this light switch, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. And you know something? That was really quick. As you can see, it's no longer charging from the home, but yet it's still powering this light. All right. Now, I'll be careful. I will tell you to be careful with a lot of these units by connecting like computers to them, especially when you're saving data, right? Because if you lose power while you're saving data, the data that's being saved onto the hard drive can actually get lost. All right. But as you can see, for a light and for a lot of other products, this is pretty darn quick. So again, I'm going to go ahead and turn the light switch back on. All right, I'll count to 3, and we'll watch the light and we'll watch the screen. And again, what you want to do is see how fast it switches over to AC power. So 1, 2, 3. Not bad. So as you can see, this does have a UPS feature. It actually is pretty darn quick from what I see so far. And you also saw the time on the screen that I put up there as far as how many milliseconds. All right, so another successful test. So we're going to go ahead and do a charge test. This thing is 0%. It's 340. How long will it take? Let's plug this in. We'll see what kind of wattage we're getting. All right, 0%. Give it a moment. All right, it's recognizing it now. We're receiving 1113 watts. It says 1.7 hours. All right, you can see the ring. AC is flashing in the left-hand corner. 1129 watts. All right, 340 we started this. Let's see how long it takes. Well, the wattage is still going up. It's 345. 5 minutes in, we're 5% now with 1190 watts going in. 1228 watts going in. We're 20%. And I just wanted to show the wattage. All right, we are, 22 minutes in. We're at 20%. But almost 1230 watts. 1 hour in, we're 56% charged, 1235 watts going in. I saw as high as 1243. So 1 hour in, 56% charged. 90 minutes, 84%, 1256 watts. Look at that, 84%, 90 minutes. Look at that. What is that, 99 minutes, I guess? An hour and 39 minutes, 100%. It's still putting some wattage in, though, 1300 watts. So I guess I'll have to wait until it goes to 0. But that's an hour and 40 minutes, it looks like now. All right, wait, it just stopped. So an hour and 40 minutes to charge from 0 to 100%. That's pretty good. As you can see, it's weird. It's showing 1300 watts, and then it shows, nothing. But it looks like it's still taking in some wattage a few minutes after I thought it was done. All right, so yeah. Trying to see if I can catch it again. There it goes, 1300 watts. See that? So it's not done yet. I guess it says it's done, but it's not done. I'll keep watching this. Hour and 45 minutes in, and this thing keeps turning on and off. You just saw 1300 watts down there. It's kind of odd, to be honest with you. I'm not sure when the fan's going to turn off, but I'll try and catch it. Hour and 46 minutes now. Hour and 48 minutes, and you can see here this thing still, I don't know, shows up with 1300 watts. And then it stops. It's kind of odd. I don't know what else I'll do, but I just wanted to make you aware of it. Let's take a moment and test the wireless charger. Now keep in mind DC has to be on in order to test the wireless charger. And what we do is let's take our iPhone 14 Pro and lay it on top. And I'm going to turn off the screen and let's see if this lights up. There you go. So it's charging. Now what about my Samsung Fold 3? And it's in a leather case and it's got the back, and then I usually lay it like this. So let's just see if that works. Not bad. You know, I like this one too because it doesn't seem to require any type of special, I could lay it this way, I guess, and it would work. Yep. Not bad. Very nice. And this is a 10 watt, by the way. It's not a 15 watt. One of the questions that comes up is, does this have pass-through charging? While I'm charging this unit with 1250 watts going in, do I have to wait for it to be charged? Or can I actually plug something in and use it? Well, guess what? This does have pass-through charging. All I'll do is turn on this ceramic heater, and you will see here that we are now outputting over 1,000 watts and inputting via AC 459 watts. Now, this is something that this unit does. It'll actually drop the AC coming in to charge the unit. And it might be doing that because we're at 99% battery. And we've got 880 watts going out. So guess what? This unit has pass-through charging. And let me tell you, try to make sure that you get a unit that has pass-through charging. It's very beneficial. You don't want to be charging your power station and having to wait to use it. So that's pretty cool. So here's the question. Can this power station power this 55-inch TV, our internet router and modem, our smart cameras, our smart security system, the Dyson fan that you see to the right, and those TV lights? Well, let's see what happens and how much power they use. Let's go ahead and turn this on. We're going to hold the button for about 3 seconds. All right, unit's going to turn on. We get a nice full charge. It's got a lot of power. All right, now the AC is already on. So once I plug this in, you're going to see some wattage starting to be used. All right, and then we'll have to turn on the fan and things like that. All right, we plugged it in. The lights just went on, as you can see there. We're using 100 watts so far, 150 with the TV coming on, 153. TV comes on and then it'll turn right off because that's what the Roku does. You'll see that drop in a minute. So 152, 155. All right, see how it dropped? The TV will turn off and turn back on. It's weird. It's just what the Roku does. So let that come back on for a minute, and then we'll go ahead and turn on the fan. All right. Oh, come on, Roku. There you go. All right, that's turning back on. 155, 57 so far. That's the highest I've seen. All right, 157 is the highest, I believe. I will put that on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and turn the fan on now. All right, 160. Now the fan's on low. Everything else is coming online now. You see the lights flashing. So 160, I'm going to put the fan on high. All the way on 10. We are at 207 watts, I believe I saw was the highest. Now it's at 203 or 204. Look at that. A little over 200 watts, okay? This has got a 99% charge. It says it'll last 11.7 hours. Okay, we got the TV installing some updates at the Roku. We've got the fan on. And yeah, a little over 200 watts, 11 hours and change based off the battery's current charge. That's a success. One of the questions is, can you make a cup of coffee using a high-powered Keurig coffee maker? This uses about 1,400 watts, right? Now this is a 2,000 watt, power station that surges to 3,000 watts. Now the AC outlets are already on. So all I need to do is open up the coffee maker, close it, okay? Give it a second, the lights will start flashing. I'm going to hit 4. I'm going to make a small cup of coffee with a nice techmadeezy mug, and we're going to watch this screen now. All right, so get ready. I'm going to hit that K button. Here we go. There you go. So far, 1200 and change. All right, 1219. All right, a little over 1200 watts being used. Coffee coming out. And look at that. So far, so good. No errors, no issues. If you have to make a cup of coffee, you can do it. With the Neo 2000, it looks like. Oh, this is exciting. And now the wattage is dropping as it's finishing the small cup of coffee, right? 4 ounces. There you go. Well, that's so nice to see that that was a success. One of the questions you might have is, hey, can I use that to power my full-size refrigerator? Well, guess what? In most cases, you can. I can tell you now it works for my full-size refrigerator. And we're going to go ahead and do that video now. And we're going to see how long that power station can power this full-size refrigerator. How many hours or how many days? Let's check that out. Now, before we start our refrigerator test, which will go definitely more than 8 hours, one thing you want to do is you want to turn off hibernation mode. You see that little moon there? That needs to be off, because if that's on, after 8 hours, this thing will turn itself off. And especially with our refrigerator test, because there are times where we'll have 0 wattage because the refrigerator is really efficient. So let me show you how to turn off hibernation mode. All right, so in order to turn off hibernation, what you want to do is put your hand on the back of the unit up here where the LED light is. You're not going to touch anything yet, but you want your finger on the LED light and you want your finger on this button here. And all you're going to do is you're going to long press them for a moment. If you tap them, they'll do nothing. So we're just going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3. And now hibernation is off. We're ready for our refrigerator test. All right, we're going to start our refrigerator test. Right now we're not plugged in. The wire's hanging right there. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. We've got 100% charge. It's 7:42 p.m. All right, so we're going to see how many hours or how many days. All right, so we're getting 142, 149. So I think that was the highest. I'll put it up on the screen. But let's see how many hours or how many days this thing powers this refrigerator. Now I'm going to put up an image on the right-hand side, and that is going to actually show you some information about the refrigerator. You can hit pause. It is a new model. It's 2021. It's really efficient. All right, but 7:42 p.m., 100%. Let's see how long this thing will power the refrigerator. All right, good morning. We are 12 hours in, and we're at 50%. We've got 43 watts going out. 12 hours in, 50%. 14-hour check. We've got 41% on the battery and 44 watts going out to the refrigerator. All right. 14-hour check, 41%. 1 minute shy of 16 hours. And we've got 33% with about 40 watts going out. All right. 1 minute shy of 16 hours. 33%. 18 hours in, and we're at 23% on the battery, 4% going out. 18 hours in, 23%. 20 hours in, 20 hours in, and we are at 14% using 64 watts. Wow, 20 hours in, 14% left. This is pretty impressive. 21 hours now, and we're down to 10%. Got 1 watt going out for the refrigerator. 21 hours, and we're down to 10%. A little more than 22 hours, we are at 6% with 42 watts going to the refrigerator. 22 hours, 6%. 22 and a half hours, and we have 4% on the battery with 38 watts going out. All right, 22 and a half hours. Wow. 23 hours. 23 hours in, we're at 1% with 65 watts going out. Wow. Let's see how long the 1% lasts. 1%, 23 hours in. All right, it's 6:52. This thing says 0%. But guess what? It's still powering the refrigerator. I tell you, I love these machines. I wonder if it can go to like negative 5%. Well, I'm going to wait until this thing dies. 0%. 6:52 p.m. This is madness. It's 12 minutes after 7, and this thing is still pushing out 70 watts to the refrigerator at 0%. I mean, really? 7:13 p.m. 0% still. Interesting. Insanity. 24 hours now. 24 hours, still at 0%, pumping 42 watts into that refrigerator to power it as it's still on. I mean, this is crazy. They're going to have to recalibrate the percentage, of course, but 24 hours. And we are still powering that refrigerator. 24 hours. 24 hours and 8 minutes. Not bad. And I got to plug this back in now. 24 hours and 8 minutes. So we are in the techmadeezy kitchen studio. Talk about Premiere, huh? Well, we're going to do our power test. You know, this thing's a 2,000 watt with a 3,000 watt surge. And I'm going to throw a couple of things at it. Let's turn it on. Okay. Get that to kick on. We're going to start with a ceramic heater. Now, I'm not going to have this aimed towards me because this thing heats up. It's a little powerful guy here. It's got 2 settings, okay? And we're going to see what happens. Now, the AC is already on, so let's go ahead and put this on low. We're going to watch the screen, by the way, because we really want to see how much wattage. Now, I'm going to turn the knob up, and that's when the wattage kicks in. Let's go ahead. It's on. 300, 400, 500, 600, 7, 8, 9. All right, about 1,000 watts right now on low. And then it'll come back down. I think it settles around 9 and change, if I'm not mistaken, on low. Look at that, about 900, drop into about 8 and change. Okay. So it is on low. It is hot already. We're at about 8 and change. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it on high. And I believe it's about 1,500 watts on high. I'm you know, without surge, I think. But let's go ahead and hit it. We're at 800 watts now. High, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,400 so far. Now it's dropping to 13 and change. So that was a surge. All right, 12 and change. All right, 12. Okay, 11 and change. Okay, so running it, no issues whatsoever. Now I wonder if I can plug in a heating gun. I'm going to start off on low with a heating gun. All right, this is 1,150 watts so far. I'm going to make sure the heating gun is off so I can start it in the off position. This is a Wagner heating gun. We are messing with some heat. All right, I see 1,165 watts so far. I'm going to plug this in. All right. There you go. It's not on, so I got 1178 watts. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on low, and then we'll see what we get. Ready? So I got almost 1200 watts right now, and we're going to go low on the heating gun. 1600 and change. All right. All right, so it's almost 1700 watts. 96% charge. Says it could run this stuff for an hour and 1.6 hours. We're now at 1700. Now, I do believe it'll trip once I go on high with the heating gun. All right, but it's holding it. No issues, no errors. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it on high. 1, 2, 3. 2030. All right, so 2200 watts right now. And it's holding it so far. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, honestly, it's over the rated wattage. It's holding 2245. Look at that. That is amazing. 2250 watts holding. Ladies and gentlemen, 2000 watt power station. I'm calling it a success. Wow. It's time for us to do a solar test, and why not use their panel? They sent us this 300 watt solar panel. It's a lightweight folding solar panel. We're going to set this up, and when we start the test, we'll go ahead and give you some specs on the solar panel and on the power station so you can have a little understanding. All right, but let's go ahead and set up the solar panel. All right, I have this positioned, and so far one thing I don't like is when you pick this thing up, it basically, you know, the kickstands go and grab the Velcro, so you have to keep pulling at the Velcro on the kickstand. So that can be a pain if you're moving this around to get different angles. Now, the reality is I use a solar angle guide to always make sure I have the best angle. Well, with this panel, it doesn't really allow you to go back much. So I've got, as you can see here, the shadow is down further from the target. Now, if I could get this panel back more, that's where I want it to be, because then that means that's the perfect angle for the sun, and it'll produce more wattage. So that's the best I could do based off of those kickstands. All right, a few more accessories. So you've already seen the solar angle guide. Very inexpensive. I love it. Works great. So now you've got the solar disconnector tool. Very inexpensive. Really just helps you disconnect the solar cables. And of course, longer solar cables, you know, so you can put the panel where you want to put it. And you maybe might want to keep the power station inside or maybe on a shaded patio. All right. I'll put links in the description, but let's go ahead and move forward. All right, now before we connect the solar panel, just be aware you do not want to buy any solar panel for any power station. You want to make sure that the solar panel that you're buying will meet the needs of your power station. If you make the mistake and buy a solar panel that is too strong for your power station, you can actually damage it. So let me put up on the left-hand side the solar specs for this power station. All right, so right there. All right, and now let's go ahead and put up the 300 watt solar panel specs right beneath it, and you'll see that the solar panel is actually a good match for this power station. You know, you don't want to mess around with open circuit voltage, right? Your voltage definitely has to stay within range for sure. So let's go ahead and connect this and see what we're getting. All right, let's go ahead and connect the XT60 and let's see if this turns on. So we are receiving 227 watts of solar right now, 240. All right, we've got 8% charge on the battery. It says it'll take 7.3 hours to charge. but we're in the 230 range. That's not bad on a 300 watt panel. Now I will tell you, it's about 58 degrees and it's partly cloudy. So to get 240 watts on a 300 watt panel, I am definitely impressed. So it's time for us to go over our pros and our cons. And I'm going to start with the cons so I can end on a positive note. Now, not many cons, okay? Definitely a whole lot more pros. So the first con, I would say, I wish this thing had an app. So you could do firmware updates, you know, you could do like remote control for someone that needs that, right? Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, etc. But definitely firmware updates, right? Because, you know, as people start using this, if they find out there's issues, they can actually update them. And you don't need, you know, internet per se at home to do firmware updates. You know, if you can connect to this via Bluetooth with a tablet or a smartphone, you could do that. So I would have liked to see that. The screen stays on all the time. All right. If you're running this for hours and hours, I'm just afraid it's going to get burn-in, you know. Now you can't hit the power button and turn the screen off because if you hit the power button, it actually turns the unit off. So, you know, I would have liked to see some way to turn the screen off while keeping the unit on. But that doesn't do that. Now, we did have a little bit of weird stuff going on with, I don't know if you noticed, but when we were doing our charge test and we hit 100%, this thing was charging for an additional 30 minutes off and on, 1300 watts, etc., which is weird. And the other thing is when we did our refrigerator test and we hit a 0%, I mean, this thing went for another 40 minutes on 0. So they really need to calibrate that battery percentage, you know. But let's get into some pros. So pros, I will tell you, this thing has a lot of power. You know, it's got the 2,000 watts. It did very well with our testing, hitting 2,250 watts and holding it. You know, not a surge, but actually holding it. So it did really well. Battery size is nice, 2,073 watt hours. So we like that. And this is a lithium iron phosphate battery. So 3,500 cycles. And then it goes to 80%. So this thing will last a long time. But keep in mind, you have to maintain the battery. So you're going to need to learn that. If you don't maintain the battery, you're in trouble. I like this flat top, by the way. The wireless charger. I like the handles. So they did that really well. Plenty of USB. And I'm glad that they went with USB 3.0 on all 4 of them. And they gave you 2 100-watt Type-C ports. So I like that. And the screen is really easy to read, to be honest with you. I like that you got input, output, you know, you got everything that you need on this screen. So pretty nice. All right. So, hey, overall, I thought it did really well. They've definitely put some quality into this thing. They've got some right ingredients, right? That LFP battery, right? I mean, 3,500 life cycles. Love that. And then 80%. Big battery, 2,073 watt hours. This thing, you know, did 2,258 watts in our power test. Go check that out. And it held it. It wasn't a surge. It held it. It did a really good job. I also like that this thing's got a 5-year warranty, which is really nice. Now, they do need to get the calibration correct on, you know, the battery percentage, because 0% should be 0%. And 100% should be 100%. Check our testing and you'll know what we're talking about. But it was weird that this thing kind of kept going when it was at 0% for almost like 40 minutes. And when it hit 100%, when we were charging it, I mean, for another 35 minutes, it was still charging the unit. And I'm like, wait a minute, if it's 100%, it should be 100%. So see that there. By the way, let us know, you know, what you think about the power station. Let us know what you have. Post some comments down below. You know what I mean? Love chatting with our subscribers and our viewers. And by the way, if this video helped you in any way, I hope you give us a thumbs up, because it really helps the channel and it helps our video. So please do so, and thank you. And by the way, if you're a new subscriber, take a moment and subscribe to our channel. We would love to have you as a family member, all right? And then post questions, stuff like that. We love it. By the way, if you could share our video in Facebook and Reddit, do that. And it helps our channel. Post below and let us know that you actually shared the video. And, we'll give you some love back. All right? Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook up there. And check out our new Tesla channel. We just got a Tesla, and we started doing some reviews for now. Our goal is to learn about, electric vehicles versus gas vehicles, and start to post some information to help you make a decision maybe. Do you want one? Do you not want one? And what are the challenges? All right, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.